Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Good morning. Welcome. Well, almost afternoon, let's say. It's 12 noon, and you are watching the Sunday Hangout on Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, and I am Bill, your host. And I want to welcome everyone to the show. Let's see who has shown up so far. We have Bjorn Jorgensen. We have Shaitan's Hammer. We have Mike over at Manic Plastic Toy Shop. And Mike, I want to thank you, sir, for joining Patreon last night. You will see your name in the end credits today. Thank you, sir. Bjorn wants to know how everyone's doing today. I'm doing pretty well. I slept pretty good last night, and I'm kind of tired now. So, yeah, there's that. There is Sir Clifton. He will be joining us here shortly. And here's Chris. Hey, everyone. Hope everyone's doing good. Yes, yes, yes. Moving on down. Boba Hicks is here with us today. Hey, Boba, what's going on, my man? And Susudio is here. Hey, Susudio, good to see you. And now, without further ado, let's bring in Sir Clifton. Welcome, sir. How are you today?
Pretty good. How are you? How's everybody doing?
I'm doing well. Like I said, I got to bed a little later than I wanted to last night, but yeah, it's been a long night, folks. Long night, and one of the other things that I did besides reworking the end credits was I went and watched the whole damn stream from last night over again and fell asleep while watching it, but I watched the whole thing, or at least the whole thing played out anyway. And then I went to bed about a little after 5 a.m. this morning and got up about 9, got me something to eat, and then come on down here and started doing a little pre-show work. There's not a lot of show today, folks. I may or may not show the Unsolved Mysteries from last night again. I know I'm going to get an ID claim on the music that's playing in that, especially at the very beginning, the Unsolved Mysteries music. I'm working on recutting that so that I can release that as a download. Regular video this week, so you can watch that. I'd love to know what happened to Tony and Miranda, but they're not talking, and nobody knows. Just a weird little YouTube mystery. And then they were toy collectors. At least he was. I think she got into it because of him. But if you watch their Q&A over there, Sir Clifton, they've got a Q&A that they did back when they were active for the 4 short months that they were active, and she answered a little question about what she really collects. She's kind of a smart gal. She liked to collect first edition books, and she was at the time that they did the Q&A, she was trying to get her hands on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein first edition.
Oh wow!
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Today's topic, if you paid attention to everything, is how much is too much? And look, we've got so much stuff coming in, so much stuff. Motu Origins is dropping all kinds of stuff this year, up until the beginning of next year. It looks like well into 2024 we're going to be seeing this coming in. Various other toy companies, Hasbro is releasing Dungeons and Dragons figures at the end of this year to finish out the cartoon collection. NECA is coming out with their Dungeons and Dragons figures. I've got Strongheart on pre-order. That's going to be a very expensive figure to go with my Warduke figure. We've got Longbox Heroes is releasing their figures. I think I got a Rocketeer figure on pre-order from that. And I got to thinking, I mean, really, how much money are we spending here, and is it wise? I mean, of course, we love to spend our money and buy the things that we love, but prices have gone way up. Case in point, there's a Boba Fett figure coming out from Kenner / Hasbro in the Star Wars line. That's basically a repaint 3.3 figure. It's repainted to look like the vintage figure collection colors. And the damn thing is the 3.75 figure costing $25. I mean, that I think is beginning to get ridiculous. What do you think there, Sir Clifton?
Yeah, you're bringing some pretty good questions up here, and then you start getting into the rabbit hole of these crowd funds too. We're talking, $400 or $500 or higher, on doing crowd funds. Like the biggest failure right now is the Monday Nitro. Ring set, they didn't get the funding.
Was that really a shocker to anybody? First of all, we're talking a wrestling television show that is how many years old? That set was used pre 1998, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that myself. I mean, we're looking at the WWE Superstars line that Mattel is doing using the Origins Bucks. And a lot of the figures that they're releasing, do kids even know who these people are? I mean, this stuff is being made for us. We know
Right.
that. It's not being made for anybody else. It's being made for the adult collector of a certain age. But are there enough of us to support a project like that? How many of us are willing to spend that kind of money, especially for the Nitro set? I mean, I wasn't going to spend that kind of money for Nitro. What am I going to do with that? Where am I going to put? That's a huge set, and where am I going to put it? I mean, there was a time when I would have been all over that, but that time has passed. It's gone. And looking at Bjorn here, he says he's a cherry picker and he's not that much interested in a bunch of other lines. Well, we know what you're doing over there, Bjorn. You're a customizer, my man. You're buying figures and you're making your own figures out of them. I've seen it. And if you go ahead, plug yourself now, Bjorn, put your Instagram up there so folks can see what he's up to. The Majestic One over at Majestic Creations on Instagram is big time into making custom figures and making custom accessories for those figures. And if you haven't seen that, then you're in for a treat. Bowie Hicks says, I became a cherry picker by necessity. Same here, brother. That same thing goes with the Origins line. Grindhead Jim says he's going to collect everything in the Origins line that's released to retail. And he's going to cherry pick the things that are coming out on Mattel Creations only. More power to you, brother. I'm not. And
No.
Now, let me ask you a question, Sir Clifton. I know you probably, I don't know if you collect the Origins line or not. You may or may not. But
I've got some, yep.
Yeah. Do you see the line going more towards Mattel Creations? I think some of the newer figures that they've teased us are going to be Mattel Creations only figures.
I believe we're going to see more go into it. they've got to be able to promote their own place, you know, for people to go to and get there. You know, it just can't keep being, you know, the same places, and that'd kind of give some collectors a little bit more of another opportunity, you know, of trying to get something. You know, I really thought that that was a cool deal that they did. You know, like the the Revelation two-eyed merman, and then the Buzz Off, and you know they did the Grizzlor and the Faker. They finally put them things up, you know, for people to try to get. And I did get the Buzz Off and the two-eyed merman.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I've got the Buzz Off here. Tomorrow the merman will be here. So, you know, me, I would rather try to go and get something from there versus going somewhere else. I mean, it's from the actual place. So,
All
you
right.
know,
Well, here's a good question then. That brings to mind. Had you rather, say for instance, Moss Man? Let's just use Moss Man for an example. Had you rather Moss Man be a a Walmart only exclusive, or had you rather Moss Man be available on Mattel Creations?
I'd rather it been available on Mattel Creations, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, where is Moss Man? You want to talk about another unsolved mystery? You know, there's the biggest one of them all right now. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
we've heard nothing else ever since the announcement, and
yeah,
you know, we done went through the Walmart con where you know they were going to do their little collector con deal online, and that wasn't even a part of it. And a lot of people, including myself, thought, you know, wow, this might be a good opportunity because they're promoting this deal for the collectors, and this Moss Man might be available in that, and
wah,
he's
wah,
not.
wah, wah.
Where
Yeah,
if you've seen or heard anything of the new Origins Moss Man, people, please let us know something. You know, it's
yeah,
unsolved mystery.
yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I mean, what? I mean, and the few select Walmarts that still have Motu Origins on their planogram, and I'm lucky to have one within driving distance over in Batesville, Mississippi, for the moment. They have a few deluxe figures on the shelf, but it's Snout, Spout, and Leech that have been there and been there and been there and been there, and they're clogging those pegs up. They're not moving off those pegs at all. What happens when they don't move off the peg? Walmart don't put more up on the peg. They leave that shit there till it's gone, or they clearance it out. And if they put that on clearance, that's a bad thing. It's a bad sign, because that means that they're trying to get it out of the damn store. They don't want it there anymore. And when they clearance out a planogram, a lot of times that planogram goes away. Eternals.
Yep.
And see, Mattel isn't releasing their Origin SKUs like Legends, Marvel Legends. Each line for each movie has its own SKU. So if the movie fails, the whole line's not failing. Just that SKU with the movie failed. So the Legend still stays. Marvel Legend still stays on the planogram, which is smart. Smart. That stage was never going to get funded. The thing was way too big. Agreed. Kids have no idea who the NWO even is. Kids don't even know who Andre the Giant was. That's correct.
Yeah.
The NWO Nitro set looked awesome, but was very overpriced. Agreed. They could have scaled back the version of it for at regular retail. They sold classic theme rings and entrances before. Crowdfunding is thumbs down in his opinion. Well, go ahead.
We're talking about this ring set and too overpriced. I even think they picked probably one or two bad wrestlers to be in that. Where was Sting? Sting was WCW. You know, I mean, another unsolved mystery.
The face of the WCW, the face of the opposition to the NWO for pretty much the whole time the NWO was in operation there. So yeah, there should have been a few iconic WCW centric figures available with that, and one of the figures wasn't even in the WCW at the time, if I'm not mistaken. And there it is, Majestic Customs, folks. Go check it out when you get the chance. I guarantee it will be an interesting experience. You will love to see what you see there. I have plans to build a custom space station display shelf diorama. Wow.
Ooh.
Sigma, hi Bill. This is Jimbo. Nice shades, Bjorn. That's not Bjorn. That is Sir Clifton there, and Bjorn is down in the chat, being my head wrench. He has now got even more wrenching powers than he had before. He is a super wrench.
Ooh.
I still haven't come across Snout Spout and Leech here. Weird distribution strikes again. Let me know, Boba Hicks. There's so many on the shelf that they're clogging it up. I don't know how much shipping will cost down over there to you. It probably would be super expensive for me to ship them there, but you know how to get in touch with me, brother. Do you know if somebody like me, you're talking about how much is too much? I can always build shelving and stuff in a room, but to be honest, I'm running out of shelving space myself with all this. Hey, space is a premium. Space is a premium. After you run out of shelving space, you start running out of walking room. And then your home begins to look more and more like one of those shows on TV called Hoarding, where you have little pathways through the mountains of boxes and crap that's in your rooms. Very bad. Yeah, all that stuff coming out. Raven. Have we ever seen a Raven figure?
Wow.
You know, he was hated. Nobody liked Raven. I don't think Raven liked Raven.
What about me? What about Raven?
Yeah. How much actual wrestling did Raven do, and how much whining in the corner of the ring did he do? Sitting on his ass, whining and crying.
Man, what was brutal too when the whole introduction, he's just sitting in the fans, and not doing anything, just sitting there, just cold steel. It's like, dude, are you even alive? And then finally, right before they come up to try to do an interview, how he gets up and turns around. So he was alive, but man, that was brutal because he didn't do anything at all. And then when they finally do get him, like you just said, the majority of the time he's corner of the ring on the microphone whining and crying. So,
That brings back interesting memories of back in the day when of some of the missteps that were taken with some of the storylines. Sting was WCW like the Von Erichs were WCCW, and Hogan was WWF. That's correct. Sting was the face of the company for the longest time. Who needs a bed anyway? There's a lot to be said about the bed, my friend, and getting a good night's rest. I have to say, I mean, I used to say the old term "sleep is for turtles," and I've gotten away from that now. And I think Sir Clifton would probably agree with me on that one. We need our rest.
Absolutely.
Jack Pacific released a couple of Raven figures under their WWF line in 2000, 2001. I remember those Jack Pacific figures. At the time, they looked pretty neat, but looking back on them, they're kind of not so neat now that we have our new highly articulated figures with head sculpts that match what they actually look like. Fun fact, he was Johnny Polo in the WWF before going to WCW. Yeah. I have both WWE Mattel Elites of the Von Erichs. That's cool. I didn't know
really.
the Von Erichs were released on that line. That's neat.
That is.
Bo Hicks, Raven was good when he was motivated. He was great in the ECW as the champion. He was good in WCW as the leader of the flock, but he was a mid-card fodder in the WWF. Well, a lot of those WCW guys and the ECW guys got screwed over when they got over to the WWF because it was like they were being punished because they were in a different company. I mean, that's not fair. That's really not fair. That's like, well, Goldberg is a good example. I mean, I don't know if Goldberg deserved that or not, but when they finally got Goldberg out of his Warner contract and got him over there, what did they do with him?
Didn't do very good.
Yeah, and the even
Well,
even the, go ahead.
and they did that with Sting when they finally got Sting. I mean, everybody thought, wow, we're going to get that Sting and Undertaker, and both of them really wanted to collaborate something. And
what did they do with Sting? They put him in the ring with someone who didn't know what they were doing and were playing a little too stiff, and ended up ruining his fucking career.
Right.
And that was to me, that was fucked up.
Yeah, I thought it was. They should have. And I remember the match, because I watched that. And
that it was brutal. And yes, we know that wrestling can have its downfalls, and that they need to be athletic enough to be able to do the things that they do. However, when you're working with a good worker, they're going to take care of you. Yeah, you're going to take your down bumps and you're going to get hurt, but you're not going to get injured. There's a difference.
Yeah.
They were released in the early Legends wave. Kerry actually had 2 figures, but I have the regular Kerry figure. Okay. I would have liked to have a Von Erich figure, says Studio.
Yeah, me too.
I can't believe Sting lost to Triple H in his first WWF match. Well, I can. Who books the shit?
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, really. There's a classic sign held up in the audience. Who spelled WHHHO? Who books this shit?
Yep.
Triple H has been booking that shit for years, and don't tell me he don't. That's like Hogan and them were booking that shit over there to WCW, which is why all that crazy crap was happening. And then who did they bring in that shit all over the place? And if you want to see some, you know who I'm talking about. If you want to hear somebody go off on somebody, go over there at Corny's Drive-In. Oh my God, Cornette hates that guy. I think he punched him out one time.
Yeah, he even dubbed a name for Vince Russo. It's a shit stain.
Shit stain. He calls him shit stain. He does. I've always heard in interviews that wrestling Bobby Eaton was like taking the night off. Bobby Eaton was a good worker.
He was.
Bobby Eaton was a good worker. He took care of you when you were in the ring. If he was jobbing for you, he made you look like sunshine. I mean, he was just a good worker. Sting should have never wrestled Seth Rollins. Absolutely. He should not have been in the ring with Seth. Yeah, nobody likes Vince Russo. I don't think Vince Russo likes Vince Russo. Him and Raven can start their own self-loathing club.
Bro.
Yeah. Hey, now, Vince McMahon wouldn't let his son-in-law lose to Sting. No, he wouldn't. And Triple H wouldn't let himself lose to Sting. No. A lot of what I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of what they did with Sting was revenge for Sting being the face of the WCW. Don't think
absolutely.
They absolutely have those kinds of fucked up thoughts in their head over there, especially Vince McMahon.
You literally seen that they did not forget.
Yeah. And we already know that there's a screw loose in Vince's head. I mean, this guy won't even let people sneeze around him.
No.
He's weird. Yes, there you go. The official Jim Cornette YouTube page is where you need to go to have your chuckles and jollies, because I guarantee you're going to get them over there.
Absolutely.
The Midnight Express, one of Bjorn's favorite tag teams ever. Rock and Roll Express and the Fabulous Ones are mine. The Fabs, I'm partial to them for a reason. They were the good guy wrestlers for years and years and years in the Continental Wrestling Association there in Memphis. They battled the sheep herders, and then it was the moon dogs. I think after the sheep herders, and it was just a interesting time back then. Picked up a stunning Steve Austin figure recently. Comes with a WCW TV Championship belt. Cool. Shaitan's Hammer says, my King Randor is on the way. Might even be here now. That is cool. You know, he said he was going to buy that 2000X Origins Randor. And I've subscribed to your Instagram page, so I'm expecting pictures of that when it comes in, my man. Seth Rollins was too green and inexperienced. I agree with that. And, you know, that curb stomp that he used to do, they finally had to ban him from doing that. Did they not?
They brought it back.
Did they?
They're letting him do it again. Yeah.
Did he get better at it instead of hurting people with it?
Really, it kind of seems just about the same to me. I mean, I've been trying to, you know, see if, you know, a difference in it, and really, I'm not seeing a big difference. To me, it's something that shouldn't be done. I'll tell you another one that shouldn't be done either is that coup de grace that Finn Balor does whenever he comes down and both feet stomp on you on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's, man, somebody gonna get hurt with that one day. And
is Finn still doing the paint himself up like Venom deal?
He did that on the WrestleMania when he fought Edge.
I think that Vince had it in for Sting because for years he refused to sign for WWE and wound up signing with TNA. Well, a part of that was because Sting was loyal. He was very loyal to the companies that he worked for, and he also knew what he was going to be in for when he got in the WWF, and he avoided that for as long as he possibly could. Yes, Bjorn, that move is super dangerous. I'd rather take a tombstone pile driver from only one person, and that would be the Undertaker. Not even Glenn Jacobson. I would not take it from him. I would take it from the Undertaker. If you take a tombstone pile driver from the Undertaker, you're safe as houses.
Yeah.
It'd be like taking a regular pile driver from Jerry Lawler. You take a regular pile driver from Jerry Lawler, you're nothing on your body is going to hit the mat ever. You're gonna be safe as a house. Probably the other move that I would love to take, because I know that it may hurt a little bit, but it's not going to hurt a whole lot because he did it to women, and that would be the Stone Cold Steve Austin Stunner.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And the RKO.
Yeah.
That would be a cool one too, because man, he can pull that from anywhere.
They were going to bring in Sting in 2008, but things fell through. Yeah, things do fall through. A lot of that has to do with the contracts. That's like Goldberg. Goldberg was under contract to Warner after they bought the WCW, and Warner either wouldn't release him from the contract, or he wouldn't take the step necessary to get them to release the contract. And WWEF, whatever it was at the time, did not want to spend the money to get him out of that contract either, because they were holding on to him. And Vince always sold that move funny. I guess he's talking about the Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah, there's some classic ones.
I'd take a spinning tombstone pile driver from Just Incredible, but I'm also crazy. Yeah, you crazy. You crazy, man. You are crazy. So, what have you got on pre-orders there, Sir Clifton? I think you've been spending your money on a lot of Batman stuff here lately that I saw.
Well, that Batman, the Batman stuff really is that's kind of like my last biggest thing that I'm going to do for a while. Really, right now, pre-order, I've got on the cheap end, I've got nothing high. But on the cheap end here, I've got a web store for the Masterverse, because I really love that figure, and he was always a cool villain, and I I just really wanted to have that figure in the Masterverse. So I'm really looking forward to getting that one. But outside of that, just the superpowers, I've got them
Okay.
pre-ordered also. The new wave with the invisible jet and the Batmobile.
Okay. Yeah, I want that invisible jet really, really bad.
Hell yeah.
That is the thing that was never released. It always should have been released. How much? I mean, it's like printing money. They should have released that invisible jet back in the day.
And real quick, please don't do the canopy like they did on this one.
Thank you. Absolutely. Make that thing right. I mean,
Man,
the Supermobile was made pretty sturdy and did an excellent job on the Supermobile, but the canopy on the Batwing, yeah, it had a lot to be desired.
I hadn't opened that yet, but when I do open it and take it out, the canopy will not come open. I'm going to leave the canopy taped because it's more than likely probably broke. So
And yeah, some of them do arrive broken, and if they
yeah,
don't arrive broken, they'll be broke after you open it up a couple of times. Even if you open it up gently like this, that
I've seen
plastic
that.
is brittle. I mean, the clear plastic that they made the canopy out of is also what they made the hinge out of, and that was the mistake. That amber plastic, clear plastic, is just brittle. Yes, Jerry Lawler recently had a stroke. I don't know how he's doing. Jerry Lawler's a lot older than you think he is, and he's been wrestling the whole freaking time. Yeah, you think he's just an announcer on TV? No. Every house show that they have, he wrestles in it. He wrestles independently. He goes to the small promotions that are still in existence and wrestles. You can see him at National Guard Armories wrestling, and he's old as the freaking hills. He's like Gypsy Joe was back in the day, too old to be in there and still doing it.
My dad got to meet Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, I've met Jerry Lawler on a couple of occasions. Uh, Depending upon what's going on at the time, Jerry can be a really, really nice guy, or he can be a dick. And I've experienced both Jerry Lawlers. The dick Jerry Lawler I can understand. He was under a lot of pressure that day. He was at it wasn't the Mid South Fair, it was the Delta Fair, which is a rival fairgrounds there in Memphis that has a fair in the fall, and he was trying to set his booth up, and people wouldn't leave him alone. And I didn't realize that at the time when I walked up on him, and he said, "I got to get my shit set up. Come back at another time, man. Just go on, get out of my way." And I'm like, "Yeah, 10-4, brother."
He asked my dad who his favorite wrestler was. Dad said, "Well," he said, he said, "I kind of hate to say it, but he said, you're asking." He said, "I'm going to be truthful with you." He said, "It's Terry Funk." He said, "Who's your favorite wrestler?" And Jerry Lawler told him, he said, "Oh, Terry Funk."
Yeah. And there's a storyline that played out, and you can watch it in pretty much in order on YouTube if you know how it goes. Or Terry Funk uh, uh, comes to Memphis, and he calls out Jerry Lawler, and Jerry Lawler no sells him and pretty much blows him off. And this goes on for a little while until finally they go into the Mid-South Coliseum, an empty Coliseum. There's nobody there. The only person there witnessing the thing is the cameraman and Lance Russell. And they go in there and they beat the living tar out of each other in there until finally Jerry Lawler, well, actually, it was Terry's fault. Terry had a piece of stick in his hand with the end broke off of it with shards of stick hanging out of the end of it. And it ended up being shoved into Terry Funk's eye instead of Jerry's eye. Ah, my eye, my eye. And then he comes back next week with his eye all bandaged up, and Jerry Lawler's not there. And he goes, "I came here for you, Jerry Lawler. Everybody here is against me. You're against me, Lance Russell. Eddie Marlin's against me. These people are against me. Apparently, even the airplane people are against me because they told Jerry Lawler I was coming. So yeah, that Terry Funk and Jerry Lawler, they had several good programs together. Kind of wish I'd been paying attention to Origins sooner, says Shaitan's Hammer. Not sure why I wasn't, but it was all about Transformers. He was into Transformers at the beginning when the Origins line came out. I thought I was going to be missing the Origins line, to be honest with you, because in the beginning, when they released that con only figure of He-Man Prince Adam, that first set that came out, I missed out on that, and I thought, oh shoot! And then the other line, the power, the Lords of Power line came out. There was another con exclusive line, and that had the merman I always wanted in it. And I was like, shoot, I missed out on that. But I got them finally. I got took for them, but I got them. Yeah. Let's see. Going on down the line here. Yes, transparent plastic is the devil. It's always been had brittle properties to it. A figure that comes to mind is the green goddess figure from the classics line that notoriously was always breaking at the hip because of that plastic. And I don't care what the guru says, it was the plastic doing it.
Yeah. The the slime zombie horde He-Man that I've got, that translucent green, and then that translucent Hordak, spirit of Hordak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of worried about those, but what can you do?
Yeah, and Shaitan's Hammer says he had a transformer made of clear plastic literally shatter in his hands.
Mm.
And Bubba Hicks wants to know which one it was. The big bat that went with the imported Prime Megatron. Okay. All right. So if you are interested in getting that figure, folks, beware. Play with it very gently, or it will break in your hands. Have you ever had a figure literally break in your hands while you were trying to remove it from the package or pose it or whatever?
No, I haven't.
I have. Do you remember McFarlane Toys released the very first Kiss action figures in their line? This was a long time ago. Each figure came with a letter of KISS in a little. You put them together to make the Kiss logo, and they weren't dressed in any kind of concert accurate costumes. They looked more like comic book versions of themselves. I got those figures back in the day, and I repurchased them a few years ago because I needed a couple of figures and couldn't find the ones that I have here already. So and they were cheap enough, so I got them. And the plastic on Peter Chris's arms was so caked up with paint and brittle that when I attempted to move his arm for the first time, they would break at the elbow.
Oh man. Yikes.
So those back then, with this a few years ago, even probably 10 years ago, I did that. Back then, I didn't realize that you needed to put a little heat to that plastic sometimes to kind of loosen it up a little bit before you start moving them around, especially on older figures like that. Bubba Hicks. I always liked the look of the Origins figures, but I made up my mind I wasn't going to get any. Then, dun dun dun, Gochitron sent him He-Man, Skeletor, and Battle Cat. Yeah. That we're kind of like what is enablers here. Come on, just one hit of this plastic, just one.
Just one.
Yeah. I broken a transformer before as a kid. Never had another after that. Yeah, the transformers were kind of if you if you didn't know what you were doing when you were playing with them, they could get kind of brittle. Colored vinyl albums are a pain to keep mint because they're so thin. They scratch and warp very easily. I can see that.
Wow.
Bo Hicks says, loads of my modern transform figures are yellowing. It's really annoying. They're not even that old. I have actual vintage ones from the 80s that are less yellowed. Modern plastic is crap. Agreed. It all depends upon how that plastic is put together, what materials that they use to make it with, and how it's made. McFarlane only recently discovered that people like articulation. He'd still rather sell statues. Speaking of statues, how many of you have been over to Grindhead Jim's toy grinds on Monday afternoons lately and had your mind blown by what people? They must be buying it, or they wouldn't be selling it. I mean, thousands of dollars for a statue this big. Literally, they look exactly like what they're supposed to look like. But
Yeah.
what? Who buys it and why?
Good question. I've been wondering that myself. Wow.
I mean, I can't see myself spending $1,000 for a freaking statue of anything.
Absolutely not.
But then again, I told myself I'd never see myself spending $1,000 for 3 3/4 inch figure, and I bought Cyborg several years ago for $900.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that was the last figure I needed to have the entire collection, and he's absolutely the hardest figure to get in that line, I think. Especially in good shape. There's plenty of them out there that the back metal's all worn off of them, and the arms and the back metal breaks. Back metal never was very, very sturdy back in the day. That back metal would break like a son of a gun. Didn't get the statue thing, but I can look at a drawing. Yeah, a drawing in a statue. What? How many people actually commissioned a real artist to do some work for you? Have you ever done that, Sir Clifton? And when I mean a real artist, I'm talking about somebody that, like Neil Adams, for instance.
No.
That can get very expensive. In your mind, you think, how much is a drawing? Just a drawing. I'm not talking about fully inked and painted and everything. I'm talking about a quick con sketch or something like that. Can cost upwards of hundreds of dollars just to get them to do that.
Man.
But if you're a fan of that artist, that's something that you could treasure for the rest of your life. He actually drew this for me. But the downside of that, and one of the reasons why they do charge a premium for their work, not only do they want to get paid because that's the way they get paid, that's the way they earn their money, that's the way they feed themselves and their family, that's the way they pay their bills. But also, did you see what happened to Mark Hamill recently?
I don't guess so.
He was coming out of somewhere, getting into his vehicle to leave, and he was mobbed by these people that were shoving autograph books and shit for him to sign in his face. Somebody even busted him in the side of the head with a clipboard through the window of his car, shoving it in there, and he's sitting there signing this shit and giving it back to him.
Wow.
Every bit of that shit from that fiasco wound up on eBay the next day. Every fucking bit of it.
Wow.
Why the fuck would anybody want to give you their autograph if it's not because you want their autograph, but you want to try to make a buck off of their ass? So why shouldn't they at that point say, okay, I'll give you my autograph if you give me $50 or $100?
Right.
And that's why they sit up there in them conventions and they have their little booth over there. And that autograph ain't fucking free, Jack. You paying for it. And it's our own fault because of the way we do. And by this, I mean the collective we, the community in general, treating these people like this and then taking something like that, and then shoving it on eBay immediately right after they get through doing it. I mean, that's not fair to them. It's kind of disrespectful in my opinion.
I totally agree with that.
My biggest purchase was a Mezco 1/12 Judge Dredd. Oh, I bet that's an
Wow.
absolute beautiful figure. I would love to see it, Shaitan. Put a picture of that on Instagram for me, please, sir, one of these days when you get a chance. By
I'll
the
be
way, speaking of Instagram pictures, who here has been following Thanos Copter over on Instagram? Do you
I've
follow?
I've got, but I hadn't looked here lately. No.
Oh, you need to go look at what he's been posting over there on his Instagram. Little racy, not safe for work. I wouldn't look at them at the job. I would look at them at home. But he's got action figures and he's got some female body bucks that they ain't wearing nothing. And these body bucks will accommodate origins, heads, and yeah, he's got Tila and Evil Lyn in some awful interesting positions there with Skeletor and He-Man. So go check that out. Bjorn,
Wow.
if you can get Thanos Copter's Instagram up here for me, I'd certainly appreciate that, my brother. Boba Hicks says you got to pay, be in the higher grade to understand statue collection. The really high pay grade, yeah, the one that is way above me, way above me. Bjorn says another move that I'm thinking that looks dangerous is that Canadian destroyer.
Wow. Yeah.
The Canadian destroyer looks dangerous, but I suspect that it's safer than it looks. Speaking of safer than it looks, somebody was turning me on to a tobacco chewing cowboy here recently, Stan Hansen. And I watched some of the interviews of this crazy man and some of the matches that he had, and just a big wad of chewing tobacco off in here, and it's all stained up down it. Oh, it's dripping all down his face, and he's got so much chewing tobacco in his mouth that it's flying out of his
Yeah.
mouth while he's talking. And that freaking lariat that he would put on somebody.
Oh.
Whoever thought that a clothesline would look so fucking dangerous? It's just a clothesline.
Yeah.
All it is. But it's the scariest looking clothesline that I've ever seen in my damn life.
Yeah. He put a damn mean one on. That sure did.
Cecilia was watching Walker, Texas Ranger. Walmart a few years ago, they had a Chuck Norris figure from the Walker, Texas Ranger line. I'm surprised there haven't been more Chuck Norris figures in there than we've seen. I mean, Chuck Norris is an icon and a meme. Only because everyone seems to do a Canadian story. The problem with finishing moves is that instead of making them finishing moves, everybody does them, and people kick out of the finishing move when you're not supposed to. And they got into a habit of we got to have at least 2 finishers before the match is over with, and then now we
Right.
got to have 3 finishers before the match is over with, and it just waters down the finisher. By God, when I was growing up, a simple pile driver to us was considered to be one of the most dangerous moves in wrestling. There were 2 moves that were outlawed in the Continental Wrestling Association. One of them was throwing somebody over the top rope. That was outlawed because you could hurt somebody doing that. And the other one was a pile driver because you could cripple somebody doing that. No, you can't really. But they sold it that way. To the point when Jerry Lawler actually resorted to putting a pile driver on somebody, we were like, oh, ooh.
Right.
Now pile drivers are passe. That happens all the time. The super kick, yeah, super kick. Everybody does those now, but I remember when
Yeah.
that was something to be seen. Lone Wolf McQuaid.
Yeah.
Have you watched that? There, Studio. Boba Hicks wants to know, and Boba Hicks does agree with Bjorn, just like I do. and she's seen almost all the Chuck Norris films. Whenever I think of Chuck Norris, you may hear me do this, say Chuck Norra instead of Chuck Norris. Chuck Norra. The reason I do that is because a friend of mine had a son. Now this boy's grown up now. He's got a family and everything. But when he was a little boy, when he was 5 years old, he couldn't say Norris, but he could say Nara. He goes, I want to watch that Chuck Norra film, Daddy. So we kind of got into the habit of calling Chuck Norris Chuck Norra because of that. So Stan was basically blind without his glasses, so he would throw the clothesline really hard to make sure he okay. I can't seem to find him. He may have been banned. Chuck Norris? Have they ever made a Stan Hansen action figure?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know.
Think of what the you'd have to paint like brown paint all down face.
I was watching Kyle Peterson here yesterday afternoon, and I forget the name of the company, but they're doing a Vern Gagne, and they're doing a Bruiser Brody, and golly, the Bruiser Brody one looks freaking awesome, dude. It looks insane.
Wow.
I would love to have it.
Bubba Hicks, you also have to do your opponent's finisher and vice versa. Yeah. Well, the other thing about finishing moves, most of the finishing moves that were done in wrestling were not as dangerous as they looked, nor did they hurt nearly as bad as they looked. But that was because of the way they were sold. A finishing move has to be sold properly. It can't be cartoon sold either. It has to be legit sold. You have to make whoever's watching that believe that finishing move damn near killed you.
Yeah.
And a good jobber is able to do that. A bad jobber is not able to do that. And a green guy that doesn't know how to sell a move at all ends up getting his ass whipped because he's not selling those moves. One of the worst offenses that you can do as a green fresh wrestler is to no sell a big card guy's moves. JBL had an evil clothesline from hell. Speaking of JBL, that was the name I was trying to remember last night. It was JBL who was interviewing downtown Bruno in that little clip that I showed. It was actually JBL. There was somebody else, and then there was downtown Bruno, and they were all three on the screen at the same time. And I just clipped each section out so you could see just them on the screen when I made my clip of that. But I thought that was a hilarious story about Bruno buying a $40. It was $80, but he said, "Yeah, I'll come back and bring you the $40 the next day." Do you think Bruno came back the next day with that $40? Hell no. They bought this piece of shit car from some crackhead in Nashville, Tennessee, and gave it to Rock, it didn't even last. I didn't show the whole thing. Rock drove that thing for about a week or two before it finally fell to pieces. And of course, Rocky Johnson, like, what the hell are you boys doing? I bought me a car, Daddy. Oh, okay. Thanos copter. Yeah. Deborah Poe here. Gentlemen, Chris Adams is the first one we ever saw do the super kick. Okay. Yep. Is that's your mom there?
Yes, sir.
How's it going, Sir Clifton's mom? Good to see you in my chat. Power Town Wrestling made one. A Stan Hansen action figure? This I must see. Pictures, please.
In fact, that's the people that's making the Vern Gagne and Bruiser Brody.
Okay.
Power Town.
Somebody get on the YouTube's or excuse me, the internets and Google it and get me a link up here. Chris Adams did a great super kick, says Boba Hicks.
Damn sure did.
Power Town Wrestling, thank you. There we go. Bjorn to the rescue, folks. Yes, he did. These guys do a Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody figures. I've got to see this. This must be seen. JBL was stiff. Yes, he did work stiff, and he was also a bully in the locker room, from what I understand, a bad bully. I don't know if he ever got his in the end. Did anybody ever actually give JBL what he deserved back in the bag?
I don't know. There's only one person I think that would probably know if he'd come out and tell it, and that would probably be Mean Mark Undertaker.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I could even see him being the one to give it to him, but I don't know.
Well, the Undertaker ran a kangaroo court back there in the dressing room, and he kept those guys in order back when he was doing every show every night back in the day. He was always back there, and he was always watching. Thanks, Bjorn. Appreciate that, my brother. All right. Let's see. Payne's Toy Samples is here. Hey, man, how's it going? Good to see you. Bill, did you get a chance to watch either of those Stan Hansen? I did. As a matter of fact, I went down that rabbit hole when Joneser was telling me about him that night. That Saturday night that Joneser was talking about Stan Hansen and comparing his insanity to that of Joe LeDuc's, which was a different insanity in my opinion. Yeah, that Stan Hansen he was a bad man, or at least he put that across very well. He sold his insanity very well, I must say, and his lack of caring and empathy. Hello, Nolan. Good to see you, sir. Steve Blackman beat the hell out of JBL. I could see that. Steve Blackman was a legitimate fighter, if I'm not mistaken.
Him and Ken Shamrock, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will speak the name which is not supposed to be ever spoken again. I can't even bring his name out of my mouth but yeah. He was the man I'm thinking of. You know exactly who I'm talking about. He's been struck from all the books. Every title he ever hold, you can't see it in a book anymore. He killed his whole freaking family. Back in the day, I enjoyed watching him wrestle because he was one of the few guys on TV that was actually wrestling and not doing gymnastics in the ring. Yeah, that's the name, Bjorn. Still can't say his name. Yeah. I'm sorry. He was one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day, and that event really shook me to my core. And then the fact that the WWF, whatever, they knew more than what they've ever told. They knew what happened the night it happened, I believe, and
Yeah.
they've been covering their ass ever since and pretending this man never existed because of what he did. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, his son looks just like him.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, it's the man of the hour, Motu Joneser. Good to see you, sir. The question must be asked. Did the old wifey make you shave all that hair off your face? We want to know.
And how well did you comb your hair?
That. And are there pictures of you in the monkey suit? Because
Yeah.
we know they dressed your ass up. That event caused an immediate stop of Vince getting killed storyline. Yeah,
it did.
I'm about to show you. All right. Come on in here and join us and let us see your mug. Kurt Angle was also a true. He was. Well, he was a gold medal winning actual Olympian. Come on, guys.
He won with a broke freaking neck, as he would say. Literally.
Yeah. What was it? Where did he go after the WWE? Because the WWE wasn't
TNA.
TNA. Yeah, TNA. They didn't care about nobody, did they? They let
Not
him
really,
go
no.
with that neck injury that probably would never heal properly.
Man, dude, he was going through when he got there. Man, they didn't care about him at all. Just being a big draw, you know. Man, to hear him tell how he medicated himself, what he was going through to deal with what he dealt with, dude, I don't know anybody that could go through something like that. I mean, the oh man, it's brutal to hear what he was putting himself through, his body, and you know, taking all the medication that he was taking. It took him a while to get that cleaned out of his system,
I
and
can only imagine. Yeah, and you know
it's
that
crazy.
TNA didn't have any medical policy about doping, did they? No,
No,
no. It's unfortunate what happened, and should have been used to help people with mental illnesses and not sweep it under the rug. And that's just opinion. Does anybody remember Chris Nowinski? Do you remember Chris Nowinski?
yeah,
I think he was one of the Tough Enough champions. He wrestled for a little while in WWEF, whatever. He is doing a lot uh, of helping these guys with brain injuries get the help that they deserve. So I'll just give him a big shout out here on the show, Chris Nowinski. He texted several people before anyone knew. Someone knew something. Well, I think
absolutely.
the guys in the front office knew what was going on. I think they knew exactly what happened and that it had happened. I mean, there's an interview with Paul London that's out there that I suggest that you find and look at because Paul does a shoot interview with a guy here on YouTube that's a friend of mine, and he goes into that the what was going on with Chris Benoit. It hurt. TNA was decent for a bit. TNA was okay until they put that damn 5-sided or 6-sided down ring in there. I hated that thing. It looked dangerous. I think it was dangerous. TNA between 2004 and 7. I liked it when Samoa Joe was there. That was kind of fun. TNA really went downhill when Hogan came in. Of course, every time Hogan comes into a place, he shits all over the place. Notorious for doing that. Oh, looky here. Someone just arrived. Someone just arrived.
What's up, everybody? It's Joneser, your favorite comic book guy. So let's do this!
What's up? Oh, look at that face. Look at that pretty boy.
Who are you?
Look at that pretty boy. He even got his shades on and everything. Look at the hair combed. All right. Wow. Hell yeah.
Not as pretty as my scaggly ass gets.
Now you have to maintain it.
Yeah, that's the problem. That never happens.
No, that never happens. Well, Bullwinkle, that never happens.
I thought I'd throw these on in honor of my buddy Clifton there.
Awesome.
Are those your Oakleys there that you're
No, they're not. They're the cheap Quick Trip sunglasses because I'm a little afraid to wear the Oakley ones, man. I'm rough on things like that.
Me too. I am too. I've got the slip over the top of my sunglasses that I ride when I'm riding my motorcycle that are wrap around. Those are Walgreens specials, Jack, because I wouldn't dare wear a pair of Oakleys going on the road on a motorcycle. Yeah.
Down the road it would go. Yeah, I'll probably wear them Oakleys for special occasions where I know I've, got a place to put the glasses in the case and the nightstand to stick it on. And, these ones, if they get misplaced somewhere, I'm out $10.
And if you need what's necessary to clean those Oakleys and keep them in tip-top condition, I know Sir Clifton has all of that in his possession and can tell you exactly what you need.
I can tell you one thing. They have been on my head once to take the picture to send it to them, and then they went right back into the thing. That
One of the
was
most expensive pairs of sunglasses that you'll ever own.
right. And I was lucky enough to have one years and years ago, but this is my second pair now.
And Bubba Hicks backing me up there. Chris Nowinski did some leading research on brain trauma and concussion injuries.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you've been following that. Joneser's a baby face today. Yeah, he's all baby face, looking young, man.
Right.
You need to keep
I
it
appreciate
going.
that, Bjorn.
Who is that strange man? This can't be Joneser.
It's his little brother.
Yeah. Yeah, his 10 years younger little brother.
Right. I know the guys at work are going to freak out too. Isn't it funny? I know my boss is
You're going to
like,
get hell all day Monday. You're going to get
He's
hell
like,
all day Monday.
Oh, yeah. The boss is going to be like, what? I can't get you to shave, but your wife asks once. It's like, yep.
She's got what you don't have, boss.
Correct.
Bingo.
One thing you can't give me.
Absolutely.
I always say behind every good man is a good woman with a good left boot.
Absolutely. And somebody asked, I think it was Chris from Everything's Plastic, asked me last night why there were no booby girls in the thumbnails and I wasn't featuring any booby girls on the show. And I said, look, Jack, have you not been watching?
Right.
I'm being watched very closely, and that's not allowed over here anymore.
Oh, Hawkeye.
Bubba Hicks says, recorded a video with Largo about the Terminator for his Beasties and Baddies airing tomorrow night after TGL thing. All right. If that link is available, Bjorn, put that out there for everybody so that they can go over there and watch that. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Susudio has a pair of prescription Ray-Bans and got them about 5 years ago, and they still look like new. I had a pair of Ray-Ban Aviators back when everybody was wearing them back in the, I guess it was the 80s.
Yep. I was just about to say Ray-Ban Aviators would probably be the other nice pair of sunglasses I had once.
And that's the only pair of expensive sunglasses that I've ever owned was those Ray-Ban Aviators that I had back in the day. HAD. Had.
Yeah. That go down a highway somewhere, Bill? Or
I don't know where they went, to be honest with you. I think they didn't make a move or something. Moving is one of the most traumatic experiences a human being can experience, I think. There are probably others worse, I'm sure, but moving is a traumatic experience. And I have moved maybe 3 or 4 times in my life. And every one of them, I've lost something of mine.
I hate moving. I do. I don't even like moving other people. Like, it's like, man, I'm old. You can't get me for pizza and beer to help move your ass no more. You hire people. You're an adult.
You're guaranteed. You're guaranteed to miss something. When as soon as you unpack and do, and then all of a sudden down the line, it's, oh, I need this, and go look, it's gone.
Yeah.
2 men in a truck. One of the best moving companies that there ever is. 2 men in a truck. They're around here too. I think Grindhead used them, and he had nothing but good to say about them when they helped him get over his move. Speaking of which, if you've been catching up on Grindhead, his apartment is nothing but cardboard boxes. And I told him it was going to be like that for a long time.
Yeah.
When Jen first moved in here, we were overwhelmed because my ex-wife took everything out of the house, and then Jen brought all her stuff into the house, and so it was like boxes, and it was just insane to try to unpack it all. It took forever.
Well, here I go. I know I'm a misogynist. Women have a house for a place to keep all of their stuff and their things. Men have a house in order to have a place to lay their head down and go to sleep at night.
I used to think that until I started acquiring lots of things. Now I'm starting to
that's true.
The house is where I put my treasures.
Yeah. Don't wear the Ray-Bans very often. They cost over $600, and that was 5 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah, probably more now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably.
So what I missed so far here, I heard we were doing some wrestling talk, or what?
We have been doing. Well, it kind of progressed over wrestling talk. The topic of the day is how much is too much? How much money are we spending on all this stuff that's coming out and been promised to us, and the prices have increased so greatly. Now, I know that plastic is made with petroleum, and petroleum is expensive, and the price of eggs went out the roof, and everything is costing more. Distribution costs more. Prices must increase.
Correct.
But are you willing to spend upwards of $25 for a 3 3/4 inch figure from the Star Wars line?
Nope. But there's some Star Wars fans who will.
Well, I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
But are there enough of them to support that?
Yeah, that's it's hard to count out Star Wars. That's been going a long time.
That's true, and
the shows have gotten worse and worse, and the toys just keep flowing.
Well, Disney's doing their best to kill Star Wars, in my opinion, and they
Marvel.
And Marvel while they're at it. DC never really got off the ground, in my opinion.
And we were talking about Cliff and I were talking about that in the green room last night.
Well, that's already fixing to happen too. They got getting James Gunn come in, and we were going to get a good Superman, with Henry Cavill finally, and James Gunn comes in, and now he just gets rid of Henry Cavill, and
it's like I can see, like, to play devil's advocate here, I could see why James Gunn wants to just reboot and reset this whole mess, because I wouldn't want to inherit this mess that it is in the current state of what it is. I do think it needs a fresh coat of paint. I do think it needs a reboot. I don't know if you're going to get a proper one while we've got that Matt Reeves Batman going on, though.
That and the fact that the Warner executives can't keep their fingers away from everything. They won't let a creator and a writer and a director make the movie they want to make. They want to keep coming in and inserting shit and changing shit. And it's, we got to do this and we got to do that. And I'm looking at you, John Peters, you piece of shit.
It does sound like, from the interviews I've seen of James Gunn and the stuff I've read and the things that I know he's a fan of, that this might be in good hands if it's not interfered with.
Well, I will say this:
jury's out.
Each to his own opinion, but I'm kind of with Sir Clifton on the fact that I'm still stung by the fact that he told Henry Cavill to take a hike.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault. The bad scripts that Henry Cavill got wasn't his fault. He looks exactly like today. That he is the embodiment now of Superman. He gets that mantle.
But here's the thing, though. If you're going to use him from here, how do you get him and not those bad movies he was in? Because in my opinion, Man of Steel was probably about as good as it gets for that version of Superman. That was the top. When you got to the Batman versus Superman thing, that we're already starting to go the wrong direction. Then we get to Justice League. Boy, what a piece of crap that was. Then you get to Zack Snyder's Justice League, improved, but that's like putting polish on a turd.
That's the old saying. How much shit does it take to put in an apple pie before it stops being an apple pie and becomes a shit pie? A very minute little piece of shit, and that apple pie turned it into a shit pie. Sorry.
First of all, I'm going to go on the other side of this, on this table here. First of all, I go back what I just reiterated. I do it again, but I'm going to go a little bit further. Superman, that time, and when you think of Superman, it's not dark. There's nothing dark about Superman. This isn't freaking Batman. That's what they wanted to do, was make a Superman universe be in the Batman dark, and dude, you can't do that. That's not who the character is.
Metropolis is always bright and sunny. Gotham City's where it's raining all the damn time.
Exactly.
or snowing, or a blink away from snowing, you know.
Yeah. My wife had a house to keep all of her stuff in. I have a room in that house to keep all my stuff in.
That's about right.
$10 is too much for an action figure. I have not been collecting modern for a long time. Hello, John. Welcome to the show. It's good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while here in the chat. War Made of Cardboard makes all of his things out of cardboard. If you haven't gone over to his channel and seen some of the things that he offers over there and shows you how to make out of cardboard, you need to go do that. But yeah, War Made of Cardboard doesn't spend a lot of money on his toys because he makes all of his shit out of cardboard. Smart man. George Carlin always said that a house is a place for your stuff. He said when you get a bigger house for your stuff, you have more room. So now you need to get more stuff.
Guilty.
Yep. Randor is here, says Shaitan's Hammer. So he got his 2000X Origins Randor. It is now at his home. Good deal, Shaitan.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of that second Beetlejuice.
I don't know what to think about that either.
No, I think it's kind of been too long. I mean, what's it going to be about Lydia and her grandkids? You know, like
I really don't know. I don't see that. Really, that was a one-off for me. I don't see where a sequel was even in the possibility of coming out. You know, I mean it.
Even they did that. What was the cartoon or the animation? And the first thing I thought when I watched that was, why is him and Lydia friends now?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. You know, like that was a whole problem before. Like,
yeah.
And I get it to put it in an animated world. You know, they had to change some things, but I don't know. To me, too much time has passed. What would a sequel even be? Just trying to capitalize on my nostalgia. And just because that's a good strategy and it might work doesn't mean you should do it.
Let's wring everything that we can out of Michael Keaton while he's still alive.
Yeah.
There. Then where's Mr. Mom Part 2?
Right.
That's what I want.
Do you remember when he got cast as Batman in the '89 Batman film? That's the only thing I heard. What do you want to make Mr. Mom into Batman?
I was young yet, so I wasn't aware of a lot of the negative backlash. That was something I enjoyed later when looking back as an older person. Because as a kid, I was just happy there's going to be a Batman movie. Like it didn't matter to me who was playing him or what. I as a kid, you just think everything's going to be good. You know, like oh yeah, there's this movie where the horse talks. You know, it's going to be great.
There was a Bronze Age comic book, a Batman book. And if you remember, back in the day, sometimes in the middle of the comic books, there would be a prose story. Do you remember those days?
Yeah.
All right. And sometimes if it wasn't a prose story there would be some sort of an article written by the guys in the comic book industry talking about things that they had in the works and blah, blah, blah. But I remember one of them, and this was several years before the '89 Batman movie came out, probably I want to say in the mid 80s, maybe pre to post crisis time. I don't know, somewhere up in there, the brain cheats. But anyway, they were talking about a Batman movie that was in the works. And I don't know if Sam Hamm and Warren Scarron were involved in that particular iteration of the movie. But I remember one of the things that they touted was that in the script that they had been shown, that basically Batman in his full outfit would never be actually seen in its full entirety because he would spend most of his time in the shadows and only be seen in fleeting glimpses. And speaking of how Batman operates, would that not be more realistic form of showing Batman on the big screen?
You know, they did that in Chris Nolan's Batman Begins at first. You didn't get a full shot of him in that. And for a little while, you just, like you said, those fleeting or real quick, glimpses, which, yes, I think that would work. But I also think you're going to have that moment where he's, you know,
Of
like
course, but
you're gonna need that, you know. I'd be pissed if we
the
went
thing
through
is,
the whole
how
movie.
do you how does a man who has no superpowers portray himself as a supernatural bat being and get away with it and actually scare people instead of looking like somebody in a goofy Halloween costume? And that's the only way. Is the
Right.
fact that no one has ever seen him in his entirety. They don't know what he looks like. One of the best Batman stories I ever read was the one where all these kids had an encounter with Batman and they're sitting around the campfire telling the stories.
That's a good one.
It is. It is.
You know, to build on that, Bill, when they did the New 52 and they introduced Batman to the Justice League, one of the first lines that Green Lantern said, "Oh, Batman's real," and then the Flash shows up. "Oh, hey, Batman's real." You know, like they couldn't believe that he was real. And I like the idea of that he's, you know, such a legend that people aren't even sure if he even really exists or if he's just a spooky story that criminals tell each other when they go to bed at night, you know, or
why does everything have to be so dark? I can tell you who to blame for that. I'm looking at you, Frank Miller.
you know,
Yep.
and Batman is a
You're
great
right.
character to go dark, but we also kind of like some of that, not so dark Batman too. I thought the Brave and the Bold cartoon balanced that pretty well.
Well, the Brave and the Bold cartoon actually took some of the original Bronze Age comic book stories and adapted them to a modern age.
Yes, because he was still cool and he was still Batman, but he wasn't like overly like fucking Batman, you know. He's
well, ever since Keaton did the Whisper Batman, that's been the trope for Batman talking as totally gravelly, whispery voice. And I guess that Batman would have to disguise his voice in some way like that, but I don't know. I can't see the Bronze Age Batman talking in a gravelly voice, especially when he's standing in Commissioner Gordon's office or on the rooftop of the Gotham City Police headquarters with the bat signal shining into the sky, talking to Commissioner Gordon like that. I could see him talking in maybe a tone deeper voice than Bruce Wayne voice, but not overly exaggerated like that.
I think the guy that did it the best has got to be, the late great Kevin Conroy. In fact, every day I read a Batman comic book, I'm hearing Kevin Conroy's voice in my head as I'm reading that off the page. Same for Mark Hamill's Joker. I think those were just two iconic takes. The video games, the Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, where they had their voices in it. Those were some of the best Batman video games, the best Batman cartoon, the best version of it I think there's ever going to be, if I'm being honest. I don't think you're going to top that.
No, you're not. Shaitan's Hammer says Gunn is going to do the Gunverse, which will have all of his quirks for good or for ill.
Right. No, I agree with that.
World Made Cardboard. I was plastic free before plastic free was cool. Was it ever cool? No.
I will say for World Made of Cardboard, I remember as a kid, I wanted a Castle Grayskull really bad. And of course, I didn't have one, couldn't afford one, And so my dad and I got a big cardboard box, and my dad cut a drawbridge out of it. We painted eyes and a nose on it, painted it green, and made a tower. And, that was my version of Castle Grayskull for a long time.
My question is this. Do they still sell Quaker Oats in that little round container?
Oh, I don't know. I bet they do.
I don't know.
Wouldn't that make a wonderful turret tower for a Grayskull if you're going to do a third wall?
Right? No, it would be about right size for an action figure too if you did it right.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and I think when I finally did get a Grayskull as a child, we found one at a Purple Heart, which was kind of like a secondhand store or a swap meet type deal, like an antique store, whatever, what have you. My mom found one in there, and I think it was just like the shell and maybe the drawbridge and a couple pieces, but it was cool enough for me, and then I acquired little pieces of it as I went. I don't think I ever had a completed one until I was an adult, though.
Right. Now, when you bought your Grayskull, I see it back there, that vintage Grayskull behind you. Did you buy it complete, or did you have to go on a quest to complete it?
I actually went on a giant quest to complete it, and it ended up purchasing 3 gray skulls just to get all the pieces. And then so I have a vintage gray skull completed behind me. Lyric has one in his room that's like mostly complete. It's missing maybe a piece or two off the elevator and the cardboard pieces, and the weapon rack isn't complete. And then the third one that was the least complete, I resold and recouped some money. So that was, yeah, I bought. What I like to do is I'll buy a lot. So like I'll buy a large lot of He-Man action figures that have a bunch of pieces I don't need. Take the 2 pieces I need and piece off the rest to recoup, rinse, repeat, collect the collection. I will have to shout out Michael Purvis here, the Manic Plastic Toy Shop. That dude hooked me up, man. He has some good prices, and I got some cool pieces that I'll have to show off here, soon. But I managed to get a Blast Attack, Clamp Champ, Extendar, Squeeze, an Attack Track, all for pretty reasonable prices. I would say better than eBay prices.
Oh yeah,
and they weren't complete, and some of them were a little rough, but they're great placeholders until I could get the missing pieces or find one that's a little nicer or whatever. But that guy's the man.
If you're looking for the rubber treads that go on your Attack Track, there's a fellow over on Etsy that makes those.
This Attack Track's pretty nice. The only thing that's missing is you got to put some aluminum foil in it to make the battery connect.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll work if you do that. But it's got the little back plate thing, like the battery cover, but it's missing the innards in there.
Right.
But he even sent me a sticker pack so I can
re-sticker it,
replace all the stickers on it, and it's complete.
Man.
The wheels are nice. It works. Things all bomb.
Well, yeah, and Mike needs a good shout out too, because he just joined Patreon last night, Jones. Or I don't know if you knew that he joined the Weird Fantastic family. Welcome to the family, Mike. And if you're looking for bits and bobs to complete your a piece, that's the man to go get in touch with, because he has a big bin full of nothing but bits and bobs.
Right. And not just He-Man stuff. He's got Ninja Turtles. He's got Star Wars. He's got Superpowers, Thundercats. I mean, Transformers, G.I. Joe, whatever you're into. He's got a little bit of everything.
Some things should be left alone. Beetlejuice is one of those. They originally were going to do Beetlejuice in Hawaii, but they didn't get that greenlit, thankfully.
Wow.
Or Beetlejuice in space.
See, the thing to me for the Beetlejuice movie, man, that was a quirky movie where we had an alternate take on what the afterlife may or may not be like. And I think the thing that was the most fitting was when they were in that little like afterlife DMV office, and they had to like take the number, and it was like number like 10,000 and whatever, and it's like, oh man,
Well, looks like I'm next.
Yeah.
I don't know why they kept that train wreck Ezra Miller and got rid of Cavill. Well, I don't either.
Exactly.
I'm sure there was a legal reason, the contracts or whatever, or the money tied up in the movie. There was, I'm sure there was ink on paper for Miller, not so much for Cavill.
Me and Bill talked about this, and in fact, it was last night. This movie, pretty much the only reason probably anybody is going to go watch it, I would say probably 99%, because there might be a very small 1%. It's to go see Batman. It's to go see Michael Keaton. That this is the Michael Keaton movie. You're not going to see Flash.
This is not a Flash movie. This is a Batman movie,
right?
And I was telling Cliffy, I said, look, if they fuck me and Batman has less than 5 minutes of freaking screen time in this movie, I'm going to be pissed as a son of a bitch.
I think you better be ready to be mad, because I think that's what's
probably. I do too. And of course, Gojitron, Adam West all the way. Once you Batusi, you never go back. And World Made a Cardboard John agrees with that.
I will say this though, there may be some good that comes out of this evil. There was some talk of a Tim Burton directed Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton as old man Batman and a new young kid. Now that might be pretty cool because then they can complete their story.
Yeah, and then we would really believe that Michael Keaton is Batman or Bruce Wayne, because now he's too old to put the shit on and he's mentoring this kid.
Right. And I do think that would be a nice way for them to end this, because I think the biggest mistake Warner made in that time was they were worried about selling Happy Meal toys. And so they bring in Joel Schumacher and they push out Tim Burton, and we don't get whatever Batman movie was going to be the third one.
But how do you sell Happy Meal toys when you stick nipples on the bat suit?
I don't know.
But even Batman Returns, we didn't get what the sequel was really supposed to be.
No, that's because they gave Burton too much control over that movie, and he was able to go hog wild with his Burton-verse view of skewed up view of everything. Gojitron's admonishing me that you can't blame Frank Miller for everything. I'm looking hard at you, Alan Moore.
Got a point.
In Alan Moore's defense, The Watchmen has always been misinterpreted for what Alan Moore wanted you to get out of that.
And he's got a point, though. Alan Moore, it's pretty dark with Swamp Thing, too.
He did.
Yeah.
When they dissected the Swamp Thing and they found out that he was never a human being ever.
Right. That was huge. I remember that.
Ooh, yes, it was.
He went from the man that turned into a plant to the plant that thinks it's a man.
Yeah.
They flipped it.
Yeah.
Paul Dini, DC Animated Universe remains the best. Yes, bar none. That is probably the gold standard. Is the starting with the Batman cartoon show, the Superman one after that, which ultimately led into Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, which I actually enjoyed Justice League Unlimited a lot more than like a lot of other people may or may not have. One of my favorite episodes was when Question shows up, and he's a conspiracy theorist, and his apartment's got like
the chalkboard.
The bulletin board with all the strings and lines on it, connecting all this shit that doesn't have anything to do with each other. Boy, he busts his way into this warehouse. He fights through all these guards just to get to this filing cabinet, and he's looking through it, and he goes, "Yes, I knew it. There actually are more than 31 flavors."
Those were great. The Question definitely stole the show in the Unlimited, I would say for sure. I was also happy to see characters like Green Arrow, get in there, because like he was definitely a glaring missing one from the first two seasons of Justice League. I was like, well, they got into Hook Hand Aquaman, and they got into the Green Lantern Corps, and they got into all kinds of places I never thought they'd go. Where's Green Arrow?
Yeah. And of course, the Black Canary, can't have Green Arrow without Black Canary.
Yeah.
Yes, they still do make those Quaker Oats in that little cardboard round container. So, go get you some Quaker Oats. Oatmeal's good for you. You can eat oatmeal for breakfast for a few days, and then you can have a piece to make a third turret or fourth turret for your Castle Grayskull. I wish Mattel would open up and expand the Imaginext into Motu.
That would be cool.
And yes, I have treads that go on the attack track. Okay, cool.
Wow.
And Bjorn is going to be right back. And World Made of Cardboard says, "What are your opinions of Final Faction? An interesting line, $1.25 a figure, $1.25 for an accessory pack. 2 times $1.25 for a vehicle with armor." Yes, the Final Faction is what a modern the GI Joe like line that's actually meant to be played with by children should be. It's affordable, and you get a lot of bang for your buck. Are either of you guys familiar with Final Faction?
I'm not, but
I
the
hadn't
price
really heard a
point
whole
sounds
lot
pretty
about
good
it.
to be
No.
true.
Yeah, these are sold at Dollar Tree. They're
Okay.
Dollar Tree figures. They're actually worthwhile. They actually have a lore that goes along with them. There is a YouTube channel with a cartoon show to go with it, I think. But yes, and a lot of guys in the community, Grindhead Jim being a perfect example of that, have been so enamored with this line that they began collecting it. And I look at you there, Bjorn Jorgensen. I think you were the one that may have helped discover this line for everybody. But I don't collect it. I have to be selective on what I collect. But if I were a kid, or if I were a parent with a kid wanting action figures, this is the way to go, folks. Final Faction is it, and it's what it shows us what these assholes at Hasbro could be doing, and they're not, because
Well,
they're
I hate to jump in with this, but the thing is, as long as it has like a IP to it, like a He-Man or Transformers or GI Joe or DC Comics or Marvel Comics, anything that's got some name recognition and is recognizable, they're going to jack the price up. That's just what it is.
well. The other thing is, modern toy companies, the big boys, Mattel, Hasbro, what have you, they don't want to experiment. They don't want to roll the dice. They don't want to gamble on something that doesn't already have an established IP, like Joneser was talking about. Back in the 60s and the 70s, toy companies were willing to throw anything at the wall to see what stuck, and they were willing to go and take a gamble on something. And that's why, to me, it's almost a golden age of toy collecting back then, because so much of what we collect now had its beginnings then, and only because they were willing to take a gamble on it.
Yeah.
I mean, how many toy companies told George Lucas to go take a hike?
All of them. All of them, and then we wouldn't have He-Man if it wasn't for that either, and I mean, He-Man was a total gamble by Mattel. They were coming up with something to compete with Star Wars. Nobody thought that was going to work. Not one damn person.
Absolutely. Let's see here. All right. Moving right along here. Let's see what everybody's talking about in the chat here. JLU was a classic show and did long-term stories well. The Thanagarian War was pretty good storyline there.
It was.
Gojitron says the Justice League Unlimited was awesome. The Cadmus story, the Super Friends homages, the obscure characters getting spotlight episode like the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Yes, all of that. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Makes me want to go watch it all again, because
Exactly.
I have physical media. I can go in and get my full collections of these DVDs and throw them in the player and watch them whenever I want.
I got them too. Old school guys like us, if we like it, you'll know we like it because we bought it.
Yeah, Manny Preston can see the Final Faction figures at Dollar Tree. Next time you're in the Dollar Tree, take a look at that stuff. Now, I'm not trying to get you hooked on something new, but look at what you could be getting for your buck over at Hasbro. And Bjorn's got some Final Faction, yes. Gojitron says, my 3 Final Faction videos are the most watched on his channel. So, if you want to dip your toe into the Final Faction, go over to Gojitron and watch his 3 videos on Final Factions and get him some more views on those particular videos. Speaking of views, I am just a few watch hours away from my 4,000. I'm rapidly approaching that, but I think what's going to be my slowdown is going to be subscriptions.
I've seen
So
that.
if you're watching today and you have not subscribed, I hope I've earned your subscription today. Please go and like and look at your subscription button and see if it's red. If it is, click on it and get that thing active. Share these videos around on social media platforms other than YouTube so that people who haven't seen me and know nothing about me can at least have a chance to come over here and take a look and see if this is something that they would like. It's the only way that I can grow. Thank you so very much, everyone who has helped. Final Faction is a fun line, says John. I agree, it is. Bjorn has almost the entire DC animated universe. I guess it's figures, is what he's saying. Yes.
I think it means the DVDs.
DVDs. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I'd have to say DC did it over Marvel and animation for sure. Whereas Marvel probably did it over in live action movies than DC.
You know, that used to be the
always
other way around.
Yeah.
You know, that used to be the other way around back when we were kids.
Right.
So that just tells you anything can happen over a period of time.
It shows you that they ran at the problems. You know, DC was like, we got to get better at our cartoons, and Marvel's like, we got to get better at our movies.
Yeah. Shaitan Hammer says he wants 6-inch Justice League Unlimited figures and wants the IP away from Todd Father and back over at Mattel where it belongs. I agree. The Mattel figures were so much better than these Toddy Mac figures. What do you guys think?
I don't have enough of them to comment. Be honest, I've got a couple of the Superpowers reboots, but those aren't exactly wow figures. They're more for nostalgia anyway.
Well, my biggest gripe with the Todd Father figures are that they're 7-inch and they don't fit in with the 6-inch. 6-inch is the de facto size for action figures. Star Wars Black, 6-inch figures. Marvel Legends, 6-inch figures. Need I go on and on? All these lines that you can have interact with one another, and then suddenly here comes Toddy Mac making his DC figures an inch taller than everybody else, so they can't join the party anymore.
Well, they could play with the Masterverse figures.
Well, I guess there's that. They are. But if you remember, the classics line was they were a little bit bigger, but they were that way because He-Man's always been a little bit bigger than everybody else.
He's supposed to be.
Right. I noticed yesterday that Hasbro figures were $25 and up, but Mattel wrestling figures for around $10 to $15, a few higher. Yeah. The basic wrestling figures are pretty cheap still, and a lot of that is because, I mean, they're just throwing that shit out there. It's everywhere, and they got to get rid of it.
Well, and they're reusing the tooling between the Origins line and the Masterverse line for those figures. So they're saving a bunch of money on that. They keep the price point lower.
Here's a link, folks, from the Majestic One. I think that's to Gojitron. Go check that out when you get a chance. I hope you put up a video today where I add paper model walls to the Alien base set that I listed a year ago. My jet will have to wait until after the Balacon Joe Fest. Okay. So check it out. He's going to put a video up today on World Made of Cardboard. So y'all go keep your peepers out for that one. Marvel had a good animation run right before the mouse took over. Agreed. Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes is a great show. Disney killed Marvel Animation. Yeah, I agree with that as well. What do you think about that, guys?
Couldn't say that any better.
Go ahead, John.
Fox Kids had a pretty good run with Marvel.
They did.
With the X-Men and Spider-Man, and I think they had the Hulk, the Silver Surfer, the Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Action Hour. Those were all. And I mean, maybe I just remember it because I was younger watching them, but that was all good stuff. They had Lou Ferrigno doing the voice of the Hulk. I mean, does it get any better than that?
Yeah, we got to hear what Hulk should have sounded like back in the old TV show, right?
Right. Well, and I just love the even though he was corny, the portrayal of the leader. A gargoyle you are, and a gargoyle forever shall you be. So swears the leader. You know, I mean, it was just, I love the pompous, I'm smarter than you. Like the guy who did that voice was just so perfect and such a yin yang. Like I loved the dynamic with the Hulk where the leader's this super genius and he just gets beaten by this overpowered, child with a temper tantrum all the time. It's hilarious. He has this master plan and he's defeated with a slap.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people give a lot of grief to that Fantastic Four cartoon that came out at that period of time. I liked it.
I liked it, and I think a high point was definitely the voice casting for the Thing, or even the voice casting for Doctor Doom. I liked that aristocratic sounding Doctor Doom. The "I'm better than you."
I didn't have a problem with it either. I liked it.
And I'll tell you how sad I am. I used to rock out to the opening tune too.
Just call the four, Fantastic Four. Yeah. My favorite version of the Fantastic Four cartoon, though, still got to be the Hanna-Barbera, just because that's what I grew up with, and I just loved that. Just even the opening of it where they're running to the spaceship, the little rocket going in, and the voice casting on
that was awesome.
Hanna-Barbera was great.
Bjorn counting the days down till Valicon / Joe Fest. And he's going to be staying with Will McLaughlin together in a hotel room. Stories will be made that day to last a lifetime, I'm sure. And you guys better get good film of that and put all that stuff up so we can watch vicariously through you the Valicon / Joe Fest. It's 6-inch for Hasbro and 7-inch for McFarlane, NECA, and Masterverse. Yeah, so this may explain why Toddy Mac wanted to go with the 7-inch. He probably wanted his figures to fit in with NECA more than with the standard action figures like Star Wars Black and what have you.
Well, then you could have Batman fighting Jason Voorhees. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's that. Batman versus Alien.
Right.
Yeah.
We already saw The Predator.
My wife and I are concerned with what Disney's going to do with Doctor Who. Well, look, if the original IP owner of Doctor Who decided that they were going to kill it, and now they've thrown it to Disney, what the fuck do you think is going to happen?
Dum, dum, dum.
Please consider supporting my channel on Patreon. It's the only way that I can keep this channel going. Each and every dollar that is pledged to me through Patreon goes directly back into this channel. And I thank you so much to all of my Patreon supporters who have helped me over the years. PBS pledge time over. The 90s Hulk cartoon was brilliant. Joneser, you do a great leader impression according to Bubba Hicks, and he liked the Fantastic Four cartoon as well.
My middle child, Taylor, that was his favorite cartoon, and because Dad might have had a tremendous Marvel animated DC collection on DVD, Taylor watched all of those Hulk cartoons, and when he'd play with his toys, I'd come in the room and I'd play the role of the leader. So that voice has been practiced many times as I chased my son around his room. And
sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, I was trying to be a hip dad. Now he's too cool to talk to me. He's a teenager now.
Yeah, that happens. Don't worry, they come back around, but it takes another 15 years.
Well, we're starting to bond again now, but now it's over sports.
There you go. Gojitron says Will's going to wake up one morning and find a tiger in his bed. Look, when you posted that in the chat just now, Gojitron, this is where my warped brain went. And yeah, I'm putting this bug in your ear, Bjorn, and shh, everybody, don't tell Will this. What we need is a picture from Valicon in the motel room of Will McLaughlin sleeping peacefully in his bed. And over his head is a majestic tiger. And pointed directly at his head is a little pink flower on the correct spot on said majestic tiger. And then that has to be posted to the internet.
Where it will remain forever.
The internet is forever. I will be bringing the tiger, says Bjorn. To be fair, the BBC I already said that. Did I not say that? I said that. The owner of the IP cares so little about it that they decided to destroy it already, so that they're sending what raggedy remains is left over to Disney so they can finish it off.
Which won't be bad, hard, you know.
Well, not hard at all. Absolutely. Well, I said I was only going to do about an hour show today, and damned if it ain't 2 hours already. We've just been having fun, chit-chatting and talking away. And I've kept a good bit of people here, and I got a lot of people come in a little later on in the show. So I'll stay as long as you guys want to have fun today. Gochutron, will it be the head of the tiger or some other part, Godfather style?
I need a saw. And a lot of towels.
Well, I had Sir Clifton tell me what he's got going on this afternoon. Now, we all need to go get our Batman fix over at Sir Clifton's show this afternoon. What has Joneser got in the works for Motu Joneser's channel over there?
Well, you guys have probably already seen, if you're on my Patreon, you can see the sneak preview, but I've been doing a little music composing, and I've been working on doing original music. My last two little story or toy deals got, marked for copyright infringement, and I'm like, piss on that. So I'm coming up with my own version of He-Man music, or what I think He-Man music should sound like. And
I watched that or listened to that this morning right before the show started, and I commented back to you on Patreon about that. Yeah. That is fucking awesome. And what's really great about our little community, is we have so many people that have so much talent, and we can share that talent amongst ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to see you guys use this stuff, and I mean, all I would ask is just music composed by Motu Joneser. That's it. All I would want.
Right. And that's what the description is for.
Right.
And even when you're doing royalty-free music from Ben Sound or what have you, that's what you have to put down there. So as we say in the motorcycle world, when you get something from your brother, pay him for it.
Right.
That's what he wants. That's how he makes his living. And I know you're not asking us to pay for it, but you just want that credit. You just want that credit.
Well, it took some time to figure out how to compose it. And I just learned today how to do like full brass band in it, and like how to edit it for time and loop it. And so now it's going to be even quicker, like, because that first bit took me hours. And then I tried a new one, and it took me less than a couple minutes, and it came out better. And I was like, man, I'm really starting to figure out how to manipulate this software and this program. And I did the, I'll have to send it to you, but I did the, like, my take on their little commercial, the He-Man, down, down, down. I got the double drums going, and
I've always wanted a clean version of that to put in some of my animations. That would be nice.
I'm working on one that it's not going to be theirs, so it's going to have some different notes, but it's going to be inspired, kind of the same idea, And if you guys ever have an idea like, hey, I want a heavy metal song, or I want an original rap beat, or a dance party, or something techno, or let me know and give me a rough idea of what kind of sounds you're looking for. I'm having a lot of fun playing with this. I can't wait. I'm in a rock band, and the problem is I'm a drummer, so I know rhythm. I know timing, right? I don't know notes and music theory and harmonies and scales. And so I'm learning it, but I know what sounds right and what being in key is and all that. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a learning process for me. So that one that you heard today was very simple, you know, and I had to like write down what notes I was doing. And that way, when I put the bass line in and I put the other guitar part in, and I could match it. So it would, one of them would be and the other one would be right. You know, they would harmonize.
And it takes someone with a little bit of musical talent and an ear for it to be able to do that. You know, right. some of us are know what's it sounds like when it's right and when it's wrong, but the idea of putting that together is foreign to us. But then we have Adam over there, who is a wonderful artist and willing to share his art. And me, who I can't draw a straight line to save my life, but I know how to manipulate images and I know how to get the tools to do that. And I can help you get an avatar. I can help you get a cartoon figure of yourself. Just hit me up. Join my Patreon. Anybody that's on my Patreon, anybody that's a Patreon member of me right now, you want a cartoon avatar of yourself? Send me 10 clean headshots of yourself, each one a little different, and I can do that for you.
Yeah, I'm actually using the ones you sent for me on my Patreon, and I've used them in videos. And I did one video where I put every one of them in real quick, you know, and those were really cool. I happened to be playing poker game with my family, and when those came through, and I'm like, hey, check this out. That showed my brother-in-law, and he's like, well, that's supposed to be you, you know. And so we were all
some of them look better than others. I have to admit, right. I had to cherry pick the ones that I used. Right. But the ones that I use for myself, I picked the ones that I thought looked the best of me. Right. And I did have someone hit me up in the comment sections on one of my videos, like, where are you getting these cartoon overlays? And I'm like, it's an app you can download for your iPhone. Yes, it costs $7.99. But the thing is, every week they offer you 3 free days. And if you're smart enough and you get the 3 free days and then you cancel real quick before the third day, and then you go back and open it back up again, you get 3 more free days. So
nice.
You just have to be on your toes. Every once in a while, I mess up and end up having to pay them their $8, but it's worth $8 to be able to do something like that at least once or twice. And
well, the software I was using for that music, it's in everybody's iPhone or iPad. It's that GarageBand app. That's all I'm doing. I just found the instruments that I wanted. Like, say for the one, I wanted like a synthesizer for it to be like, and then so I found that, and then I put some bass to it, boom, 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 and then put the drums to it, you know, and it just little by little layered it, and then edited it and looped it and tried to make it all. You got to get a good take, you know. But what was great is with the looping it, if I get a good take, I only need like one measure of. And then if I don't make a mistake, I could slap it in there, and then the whole thing's got it, and I don't have to do it for 2 minutes. Instead, I did it like for 2 seconds. It was pretty simple, you know. The more I played with it, the better I got with it.
War Made of Cardboard says, I mentioned to a group of teenagers that one of the heroes I grew up was named He-Man. They had never heard of him and thought the name was funny. Their parents just weren't raising them right. Agreed.
Nope.
And Bjorn's going to take off for the day. You take care, my friend. Thank you for coming in and being majestic today. And keep making sounds, Jared Joneser. and Adam joined us today. I spoke his name and he appeared. How about that? How's it going, Adam? And yes, I was telling everyone what a good artist you are. We were talking about how our little small, close-knit community has an expert in just about everything needed to have a successful YouTube experience. And Okay, I'm having with Tara today.
He's having fun with Tara today.
Oh, is Tara his new lady friend?
Yes.
And is that why we haven't seen him over at your place here for quite a while there?
Yes.
So, uh, Adam has gotten a girlfriend, and when that happens, I just hope that she ain't a Yoko Ono and gonna break up the band. Come on now.
No, it's they're in that stage where they still like each other, like.
I wouldn't put it so harshly. I mean,
I was, yeah.
I like Paula, and I'm still in love with her, and of course now feeling.
I had a fantastic weekend with my wife, and she even asked me when we got back home, "Did you have a good time?" And I said I couldn't have been with a more beautiful person. And I had a blast, and I kid.
Well, here's the thing. Now, I'm going to wax philosophical once again, like I did at the beginning of last night. Love is a choice that you make. It is not a feeling that you have. The feeling that you have goes away, but the choice is something that you make every day when you get up out of bed. And look, I've been married for a little over 30 years and have no plans of not being married ever again. And I want to stay married to the one I'm with forever and ever and ever till the end of time. But, but sometimes, and it's usually right after the 5th year, there are days when you can get up and you look over at that person and you're like, and then you go, but I choose to love them.
Correct.
And that's the trick. You've got to make it through that. Too many people give up far too quickly.
Amen.
They think because the freaking butterflies in the bottom of their stomach have gone away, that means that they've fallen out of love with someone. You don't fall in and out of love. You choose to love. And all right, guys, one joke for the day. When do you know that the honeymoon is over? I could tell you when the honeymoon's over. It's when you're in there shaving and she comes in and takes a shit.
Yeah. Yep. The mystery is gone. Mystery is gone.
The honeymoon phase can last forever with the right person. What land do you live in? Unicorns and magical flowers and pixie dust.
What's funny is I love my wife, and I worship the ground she walks on, and all of that. However, there are times where she just knows how to push your buttons. That you've been together so long, she knows what'll irritate you, and you just goes there.
Well, that's absolutely right, and the reverse also holds true. So wield thy power correctly and responsibly.
Right.
Tara says that I'm smart. I'm a smart something or another, right?
Absolutely. I think that was very wise, Bill. Because quite honestly, it is a commitment and it is a choice. And I mean, I've been through a divorce, and so I knew I had to give up on somebody for myself. And
that's another sign. Okay,
right.
That's a signpost. If you're willing to give up something that you want and cherish so that the other person can find happiness, that
might not be exactly how that went down, but what did happen though is I had to walk away from it because I was walked away from. So you gotta have two people walking towards each other. One's walking away, the other one can walk toward her all he wants. But if she's
it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street, and if one person is doing all the work and the other person is doing absolutely none, then there's a problem there. Both people have to be on the same sheet of music. That's a truthism right there.
So I just like, you know what, it's done. And it was unfortunate because there are kids involved. And so that always makes it harder, because we had to figure out what this family looks like split apart, and then when me and Jen started dating, she brought a boy into it, and I had 2 boys of my own and a stepdaughter, and we had to figure out how we all blend together.
And speaking of couples, I kind of want to show this one more time, even though I haven't fixed the music at the beginning of this. I don't know how much you caught of last night's show, Jones.
None yet.
None. All right. I'm going to show something real quick, and that's probably going to be our show closer. We have an unsolved mystery in the YouTube world and in the toy community. Are you aware of that mystery, Joneser?
I'm not.
All right. This is a channel that you probably will fall into a rabbit hole in. They only lasted for 4 short months. They were a shooting star that burned out far too quickly. We don't know where they are or what became of them. And we are just beside ourselves with wonder at this unsolved mystery of whatever became of Tony and Miranda.
Shut up and sit down.
On April 26, 2021, at the height of lockdowns and poof mania, a brand new toy channel burst onto the scene on YouTube. Collector's Crush. A young couple, Miranda and Tony, scoured the Walmarts and Targets all around Miami, Florida, searching for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Masters of the Universe Origins toys. They would sometimes do unboxings, Q&A sessions, and even live streams.
We've had so many questions like this.
Every day.
I actually lost my eye, or my sight I should say, in 2017 after a very, very bad surgery. I was born with congenital cataracts and I've had over 11 surgeries in that eye, and this was the final straw. I went blind during that surgery, and that's end of story.
Miranda was a striking and exotic figure, featuring a mysterious eye patch. She was most prominently shown in the thumbnails and on the videos. Tony, while occasionally seen, mostly served as a cameraman and off-screen commentator. Rapidly gaining followers at a breakneck speed, they ultimately climbed to 12,500 subscribers, with videos getting upwards of tens of thousands of views each before they just as suddenly disappeared. It was only 4 months later when their last video was posted on YouTube in August of 2021. What happened to them? Why did they stop posting and let their channel just die? There were a lot of theories. Some of them are absurd, like they were Russian spies. However, some of them are probably plausible. Perhaps they just couldn't afford toy hunting and YouTubing. Maybe they split up. No one knows, and nothing has been seen or heard from them since. The Reluctant Adult Podcast did a couple of clickbaity podcast titles, teasing that they knew what happened to them, which wasn't true.
Hey, you remember Collector's Crush on YouTube?
Barely. It seemed to be...
It's been months.
I seem to check in every 2 weeks, and there's neither any subscription growth or any new content, so... What happened?
Okay,
What's up there?
I like to go to their last video and look at the comments, search by new. So I'll just read. For 3 hours ago, someone wrote "Good riddance." That was Jan Jackson 1 day ago, and they edited this, but it says there are 20 scenarios to why they are MIA. So this is sort of what we went through. But this person has 20. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Here's the number one. They were playing with toys too much and failed their exam and must redo them. That's not too funny. Number two, they've broken up and they're in court to see who gets custody of their action figures. Oh, this is a regular David Letterman on our hands. 3, they've gone broke from buying too many toys. Now they're on the street begging for money.
Yes.
4, they got robbed and they have nothing new to review. Okay. 5, they had a house fire, no insurance. Oh, this got dark.
You had an apartment, but okay.
6, they got into a car accident when they were hunting.
Ooh.
I guess they're presumed dead. I don't know. 7, Target and Walmart banned them because, said in parentheses, that's how we wrote it, because they tried to steal toys. Now they're in jail. I could see them getting banned, but I don't think they were stealing toys. They were hiding them under the kick plates.
I'm going to throw something in there. Maybe the murderer hid the bodies under the kick plates.
Oh.
And that was
That's
the guy.
final shot
That was
of
the
the documentary.
guy. That was the guy following her around in that episode.
Rocco the Great has claimed that Miranda is now with him. That was just a clickbait lie. Do you know what became of Miranda and Tony? If so, we would love to hear from you.
I'd already clicked the button to start that as you began to speak, Sir Clifton, and I apologize for that.
No, you're fine.
Go ahead and finish your thought that you were having before I played the video.
I was just saying, if you've seen or heard from these people, please let us know on this channel.
We'd love to know. I'm just beside myself at wonder at what became of this young couple. And we talked about that last night. What do you think about it, Joneser?
You know, they have impressive numbers. I've never heard of them, or I must have missed it, or maybe I was busy trying to do my own content at the time and I never came across them. I would have thought the chick with the eye patch would have been memorable to me, but yeah, I just never came across them. It's an interesting story, and it's an interesting thing. I wonder, there's a comic book person that I wonder the same thing. He didn't have as impressive a numbers. He had maybe 400 subscribers, but this guy had the most impressive comic book collection I had ever seen. He had, you know, like Spider-Man #1, Fantastic Four #1, Avengers #1, Hulk 181, Amazing Fantasy 15. Like, he had all the big heavy hitter books that like anybody would want. You know, I think the only two he was missing was Action 1 and Detective 27. He had everything else. And the guy had an amazing channel. He would comment on my videos. I would talk to him. He even started buying Ninja Turtle toys, watching me doing my He-Man toys, and he just disappeared off the face of the earth. He hasn't posted nothing in over a year.
Weird. There seems to be no internet trail where they're from. Miami area is where they lived in Florida. They were happy to say that. As a matter of fact, there's a video out there where they met with a fan of theirs in a parking lot of a Walmart or a Target to exchange some toys. So they were well known, and they operate out of the Miami area. What's left is an abandoned YouTube channel that sits forever frozen in where it was when they quit. There's an abandoned Instagram of theirs over there that hasn't been updated in God knows when, probably back to when they disappeared. I sent them a DM on Instagram before I decided to do the video even, and the DM was a small, quick one. Are you guys even still around? No response. There is an abandoned Twitter account as well, with what's left of what they posted back when it was active and the channel was active. So I don't know.
It makes me wonder, you know, especially on the other fella that I actually had spoken to, because yeah, he got he didn't have their numbers, but his channel was far ahead of mine. In fact, it still is. And you know, I was just kind of like, wow, just out of nowhere. But I mean, the thing is too, this all happened around COVID. You know,
Yeah,
they hate to speculate dark, but you know, maybe something happened to them.
Well, I think it's probably Occam's razor here. Bobby Hicks says there were a lot of channels that sprang up during the COOF and lockdowns that disappeared after the world started to open up again, and that was the thing. All right, so the scenario is, all right, you can't go to work, or you're working from home because you can't go to the office. You got all this free time on your hands. You may have even lost your job, and now you're collecting double unemployment, plus COOF bucks. Everybody got COOF bucks. Did you get COOF bucks? I got COOF bucks.
Hello.
Got the so everybody's riding high. I got all this extra money that they didn't have before, and nothing to do. So what do? Start a YouTube channel and go toy hunting and film yourself doing it. But what happens when reality comes crashing back in and the COOF bucks dry up and the unemployment runs out and it's time to go back and to life again, and life begins again, and you have to go back to the office. You have to go back to school. These were college kids. They were going to college, and assuming they had jobs as well to support that. All of the lockdown and coof mania was over with, and it's time to get back to reality. And I think that's what happened.
Well, and here's the other deal. Like, if they had as many subscribers and views as you're saying, then that's a monetized channel that's probably still collecting ad revenue if it's still monetized its videos. Where's that going? I mean, I guess we'll never know, but it makes me wonder if maybe they are in court in dispute of the channel or in dispute of the has that ever happened where people worked on a channel together and then now they're broke apart and they got to fight over it like a divorce?
You wonder about that. Now, something similar is going on with I can't remember his name over there, Ethan Klein, I think is his name. Ethan Klein was originally monetized as an Israeli, and he also joined one of those YouTube groups. What do they call them? Where they all share the money or whatever. Anyway, he ain't getting his money, and he joined that group so that he could get his money in U.S. funds, because once you monetize in a certain currency, you can never change it to a different currency. You're stuck with that forever. So he joined that NF, whatever where they a bunch of YouTube channels get together, and then they get these resources in order to get all these views and get all this big money, and they generally get screwed out of their money. And he found out he was getting screwed out of his money, and now the only way that he can get out of it is to demonetize his YouTube channel and then remonetize it, which means that he has to start all over again from scratch.
So if you demonetize it, you lose all your subscribers?
You don't lose your subscribers, but you have to start over again like you did when you began. You have to get 4,000 viewing hours and 1,000 subscribers within a certain period of time to remonetize.
Wow.
And I don't know if the subscribers that you already have count. I know the viewing hours, you have to have the viewing hours within that year period of time. Once you've monetized, you're monetized. At that point, subscriber counts and view numbers are vanity numbers. Now, it does affect how much money that you're making off your channel and who is willing to put their ads on your channel. Yes.
Right. Eyes on the prize.
Right. Shaitan's Hammer said he remembers seeing their thumbnails during the pandemic, but never watched the videos. And now he might have to binge. They're kind of it's easy to binge because there's not that much of it. But what he is there is entertaining at the very least. We were talking about that. I mean, what if she decided that she was tired of his ass and she took a hike? All right, what's he left with? Nobody was watching that shit for him. I guarantee you. And how is
that? Probably makes the most sense if we're being honest here. You know, if she moved on, then what's he got? You know,
well, the best video to watch to get a clearer idea of them as a couple is their Q&A video, which I showed a portion of when she talked about what happened to her eye. That she was asked, what does she collect other than toys? She collects a lot of things other than toys, and one of them is first edition books. And she was on her way of getting a first edition Mary Shelley Frankenstein book.
Wow.
Yeah. And she also said that she was not a toy collector until she met him.
Wow.
So, it's kind of like my wife. My wife does collect toys, but would she be collecting toys if it wasn't for me? Probably not.
My wife could give a crap about these toys or comic books or anything.
That's the way it usually is.
I mean, she doesn't. She understands that I'm into them.
Well, I still go through that the meme, you know, my lady, my queen, my dear, and then she's over there, buy the little toy.
Right. Right. I like the one where they show the guy and there's the tall lady, and I think they're on a movie set looking at a script, and it's like my wife, me showing her the comic book I want. Yeah, I will say this though. When we go the antique stores or we do the hunting, my wife actually does enjoy that part of it. She likes going to the secondhand stores. She likes looking around. She's actually helped me a few times. There was a guy that had a bunch of comic books, and the one she pulled, she was like, "Hey, how about this one?" And I was like, "That'll do." You know, like, so she's got a good eye. She knows what I like, and she's actually pretty handy to take along for these kind of things. But as far as me spending buco money on them and collecting them forever, she's not a fan.
My wife tends to keep a chain on me when it comes to spending as well, and it's a good thing, because left to my own devices, I would probably be in the poorhouse.
Yeah, probably me too.
I didn't realize that they mail you out a PIN number to validate your email address as part of the monetization process. I think that's the two-step verification process. All of us should already be two-step verified if we're running a YouTube channel. If you're running a YouTube channel and you haven't yet done two-step verification through Google for your YouTube channel, I suggest that you go on and do that. It's worth it. Because if you don't, then that's another thing that you got to go through once you reach your goal. Let's all collectively hire a private eye to investigate this mystery, a cheap private eye preferably. Hey, why don't we hire the Pinkertons so the Pinkertons will quit bothering people about Wizards of the Coast shit and go do something that they need to be doing. I don't think the Pinkertons are cheap, though.
No.
I swear, once you monetize that part of YouTube, you may as well forget what you think you know about YouTube. It's like learning. I can imagine that too.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's Plato's cave. I mean, right now we're chained to the wall and we can't move our head around, and all we can see is the shadows being cast upon the wall there, and we think that that's reality, when actually reality is behind us.
That all sounds right.
Mm-hmm. Tara loves Lego. Yeah, Lego's big.
Lego's fun. Lyric's big on that.
And there's a lot of toy channel. I'm not into Legos personally. I like Legos, but I don't collect them and I don't play with Legos. But I watch the toy channels that are all the time. I like watching people build Legos and talk about building Legos and talk about what you can do with them and the versatility of them. And I've often thought about just buying a bunch of Lego bricks just to make shit for my figures out of the Lego bricks. You know, that's what I would do. I would buy a bucket of fucking bricks, not a set. I mean, do they even do that anymore? Do they just sell buckets of bricks?
We looked for that a couple Christmases ago because the wife and I were like, his Lyric was real into Legos, and he had a lot of the sets, but a lot of the times he builds the set and then he takes it apart and makes what he wants, and then you never really have the set again because the pieces are spread out everywhere. And some of the things like the Star Wars sets, he's pretty big on keeping as such, but some of the other ones they just turn into whatever. So we were like, we're gonna find vanilla Legos, which what I mean by that is just like the sets like we had when we were a kid, like
a bucket of bricks. I remember a bucket of bricks,
blocks, and that's it. And you just build whatever you want out of. Use your imagination. Hard to find. Couldn't find them.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the two-step process. Thank you, Tara. I appreciate you subbing to me. I appreciate all the subs I can get. Is your watch hours at 4K? Not quite. I'm about a little less than 300 watch hours away from that. And that's the thing. I generally get about 300 watch hours a month, but there's a caveat to that. As each month passes by, the months 12 months ago that I started at and this journey drops away. So whatever views I had then drop away. And I lost a shit ton of views here recently, watch hours recently, because one of my first videos that got me started thinking that maybe this was something to do for myself was a He-Man video that I did showing off my He-Man collection that went viral and got 24,000 views right off the bat. Well, I lost 20 those viewing hours that I got from those 24,000 views. I lost those viewing hours last month. So I had to get another 1,000 viewing hours just to get me back to where I was at that point. So yeah, there's that you have to deal with. And if you don't want to do the long-term videos, if you want to try to do the shorts and do it, that's what is it, 10 million?
Yeah, that seems like harder hill to climb there. It felt
and I think that's views, 10 million views on your shorts within a 90-day period of time.
So yeah, you got to be ripping those.
Yeah, that ain't possible. Well, it is.
Well, it is, but like if I had a young looking lady and shake my boobs every one of those, I'd have it easy.
Yeah, but I know exactly what would happen if you did that. The same thing that happened to me.
Frying pan to the skull.
You're not doing any of that. And by the way, get those whores out of here. Now. And thank you, Tara, for subscribing to each one of us. We all appreciate that.
Thank you. Take good care of my boy.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Adam is very special to my heart. So now by default, you are special to my heart. As long as he thinks so. No offense, my loyalties lie with him.
That's we'll do B's before W's.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it like that, but yeah.
Well, I didn't say it right outright. I kind of
right.
But you know that's the old saying. Well, this means I've got to go to the store before this day is over with, because it's all over with. We've gone about as far as we can go on today's show, I think, guys, unless you guys got anything else y'all want to add.
No,
real quick, I don't either. Like, subscribe, check everybody out, support the community. I'm going to get to work doing all the chores I didn't do while I was out gallivanting around with the wife. So I got laundry and dishes to work on, more music to create, and a video to shoot. So,
and I've been here all weekend by myself. My wife went to work, and for the duration of the weekend, Friday afternoon. She will be back this afternoon. I got to clean that freaking kitchen up.
That's where I'm headed next.
You know, last night we watched How to Be Thoughtful.
Yeah.
And the kids made dinner, and then when Mom got home from going out and doing her thing, what did she have to do? She had to go in there and clean their shit up in the kitchen. So, I'm going to be thoughtful and go in there and clean because I can cook like a motherfucker. But the problem is I make a huge ass mess when I'm doing it. Unlike, I don't know how women do it. I mean, I guess they just clean as they go. I don't know.
That's what I do. I clean as I go. I think you almost have to. You got to wash them dishes as you dirty them. But we're the opposite of my house. She's the better cook, and I'm the one that likes to clean up. So we're flipped.
There you go. Things always work out one way or the other. But I can remember just the other day I was sitting in the living room in my chair. My wife came home and she went in the kitchen, and I said, "Hey, baby, can you make me a peanut butter sandwich?" And she walked to the kitchen door and looked at me and she goes, "Why can't you make a peanut butter sandwich for yourself?" And I said, "They taste better when you make them."
They do. They do. They're made with love.
There you go.
All right, everybody. All I got to say on this one is we'll see you next time. And in the meantime, have a good journey.
Good journey.
Special thanks to the channel supporters. Without your help, these adventures would not be possible. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's adventure, please hit like, subscribe, and share the video.